It's a beautiful, bright day. The sun is out, the birds are singing, and everything is super duper. Live from Much Wenlock in England on a Sunday afternoon, this is Live English. It sure is, baby. Here we go. It's Sunday afternoon once again across the world. And we are live as live can be. Something slightly different today. We are doing something a little bit different. Things will not look the same as they usually do. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Well, are you happy? I really hope so. I'm very happy today because I'm outside live. We are having the most wonderful day here in England. It is bright, sunny, a little cool, but not too bad. The sun is out. Everything is quite nice. So I thought today we would do something a little different. I thought we would go outside. So this is officially the first English live stream of 2019 that we're doing outside. So that's it, the first one. Write that down in your diaries right now, please. So here we go. And well, lots of things coming today. We have all sorts of stuff coming today because it's Live English every single Sunday. We are live on YouTube. Not only myself, Mr. Duncan, but also later on we have Mr. Steve coming as well. So lots of things to look forward to today on the live stream. Something a little different. Don't forget we are live outside right now. You can see the time is just coming up to 10 minutes past 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. It is... What is it today? The 24th of February. I can't believe how fast this month has gone. Something I want to mention very quickly. There will be no live stream next week. No live stream next Sunday. So that's something also to make a note of in your diary if you would like to. So there is no live stream next Sunday for various reasons, which will become clear as they are revealed. Lots of things going on, quite a few changes taking place, let me say. So I hope you're well, and the view today is gorgeous. So this is the view at the moment, looking out towards the Shropshire countryside. Look at that, it's a glorious day. That is actually a live view looking out. And we are outside completely live today. So anything can happen, anything. So everything could go wrong at any moment. That is the wonderful thing about doing live streams. You never know what will happen next. Anything could happen. As I said, Mr. Steve will be here a little bit later on. And, well, a lot of people like to see Mr. Steve exercising. So I thought, once again, I will show you Mr. Steve working out. Yes, I'm doing something a little different today. We are outside live in the garden, just to give you a kind of sense of what things are like at the moment here. So I don't know why, but suddenly the weather has changed for the better over the past few days. So we're having quite a nice spell of weather. It's about 14 degrees today outside, so I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to go outside and do a live stream in the garden? So here we are right now. And I hope you are well. The live chat is open for business. I wonder who was first on the live chat. Let's have a look, shall we? So there it is, the live chat on the screen. And if we go back to the beginning, let's see who was first. I don't know who was first, but we are about to find out. Oh, so many people already are on the live chat. I hope I can read this writing because I'm using a very small screen in the garden. Now that looks like Khyber. Hello to Khyber. I think, Khyber, you are first on the live chat. So a big super duper round of applause for you. Well done. Well done to Khyber. You are first on today's live chat. A special live chat live in the garden. Also, we have Blue Thunder and Olga is here. Hello, Olga. Nice to see you here again. If I seem a little distracted, it's because there are birds flying over my head as I'm talking to you right now. Lots of birds flying around. Louis is here. Hello, Louis. Nice to see you as well on the live stream. Also, we have Beatrice. Beatrice is watching in Argentina. Hello to you. By the way, it's the Oscars tonight. Will you be watching the Oscars? Do you care about the Oscars? Does anyone really care? I think the only people who are really bothered by the Oscars are those who think that they might win a prize. That's what I think anyway. Ricardo, hi guys. And also Pedro is here. Pedro and Belarusia are the moderators on the live stream. Also have Lena. Hello Lena, how are you? I'm okay, thank you very much. Nice to see you here. Francisco, and also we have Philancy and Muti, also Lilia and Sukat. Oh, hello Sukat. How lovely to see your smiling face with us once again. Can I say a big thank you to those who sent some lovely donations as well to my PayPal. Thank you very much. And we had a lovely donation last week. I think it was from, was it Eduardo? I think it was. Or Leonard. No, I think it was from Leonard. We had a lovely donation last week on the live chat. Very, very kind of you. Alamgir, hello everyone. I forgot about the live class. How could you forget? How could you forget about our lovely live stream? Oh, well, at least next Sunday you can have a rest because I won't be here next Sunday for various reasons. I might mention why later on. Also today, Mr. Steve will be looking for some sympathy today because Mr. Steve has not been very well. He was really unwell during the week. He's had a fever. He's had a cold. So he spent 2 days in bed. In fact, he went out Thursday night to do some singing. And then he came back and he looked absolutely dreadful. He looked terrible. I thought he was going to collapse on the floor when he returned home. So I said to Mr. Steve, I said, you have to go to bed. And you can't go to work tomorrow because you're too ill. So he had 24 hours of sleep and now he is almost well again. But of course, when you get a fever, when you get a cold, there are many things you can do to ease the discomfort. So what do you normally do? If you get a cold or a fever, if you start sneezing and coughing, and your nose starts running, what do you normally do? Do you have a secret cure for your fever, for your cold? And at this time of year, many people have colds at the moment. There are so many people around. Fortunately, I didn't catch Mr. Steve's cold. So Steve was very ill during the week, but I wasn't. In fact, I had a lovely time during the week because I went to a place called Ironbridge. Maybe you know about it. I went to a place called Ironbridge. Would you like to see some of the shots that I filmed during the week? Here we go. So this is my little trip that I took this week to Ironbridge. So there it was, the place I visited this week, a very historical place, a famous place called Ironbridge. And the reason why that place is well known is because it is where the first ever fully iron, made completely of iron, the Iron Bridge is the first ever bridge to be built completely from iron. It's true. I'm not joking. Look it up on Google later on if you want. So that is a place that's not very far away from me, in fact. It's just a few minutes drive. And the reason why I showed you that is because over the past few months the bridge has been renovated. Now, in the past, the colour of the bridge was a strange, dull grey colour. But they apparently discovered that the original colour of the Iron Bridge was actually red. So that's what they did. They decided to renovate the bridge and they painted the whole bridge with a new colour. The original colour that the bridge had when it was first completed. So I hope that was interesting. Lots of interesting things coming today. We have Mr. Steve on the live chat. It feels very strange to be out here. Can I just let you in on a little secret? I have wet feet. My feet at the moment are actually wet. And also I think that one of my neighbours is going to drive by in a moment in their tractor. So if it gets a little bit noisy, you will know why. So Mr. Steve will be here. Today we're talking about lots of things, including, are you a positive person or are you a negative person? Would you describe yourself as a person who is positive, or would you say that you are a negative person? My neighbour's tractor is now coming past. There is a large piece of farmland behind my house, and at the moment my neighbour is driving by in his big tractor. There he is. Maybe he'll give me a wave. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, are you a positive person or are you a pessimistic person? Some interesting words there. So we have the word optimist. An optimist. An optimist is a person who tends to look on the bright side of things. So if you are an optimist or if you are an optimistic person, this means that you always look on the bright side of life. The opposite of that is pessimist. Pessimist. If you are a pessimist, that means that you look on the dark side of things. You look on the bleak side. You look at the negative side of things. So there are two types of people in the world. You have the optimist and the pessimist. An optimist is optimistic. A pessimist is pessimistic. They always look on the negative side. We can also say positive as well. A positive person. And we can say the opposite, which is negative. So, positive, optimistic. Negative, pessimistic. You always look on the dull, dark, negative side of things. So let's have a look at one of my English lessons, and this is a short lesson where I talk all about that particular subject. This might look like just an ordinary glass of water, but in fact it is something much more symbolic. The way in which you view this glass might reveal how you view your own situation in life. Let me explain. To some, this glass is half full. It is not empty. It still has something to offer you. There is still some water left in the glass. You could say that this is a positive way of looking at the glass. However, to others, this glass is half empty. There is not as much water in the glass as there could be. This could be viewed as being negative and pessimistic. Your perspective of the world and your situation in general can often be judged by whether you see the glass as half full or half empty. As for me, well, what do you think? Is my glass half full or half empty? Being able to see the bright side of something is not easy, but it can be done. After all, tomorrow is indeed another day. Take another look at your glass. You might be pleasantly surprised by what you see. And there it was, an excerpt from one of my English lessons. There are many, many English lessons on my YouTube channel. It's a fun day because it's Sunday and it's time to improve your English listening. Yes, every single Sunday you can catch me live. Next Sunday there is an exception because next Sunday we won't be here live. There are some things happening. Mr. Steve is also busy next weekend and I will be busy next weekend making some changes in my studio. and also some other changes taking place next month as well. So some new things to look forward to. Maybe one or two things will look different, maybe sound different. Who knows? So some surprises coming your way in March. So just to remind you again, I won't be here next Sunday. No live stream next week. I hope we are all clear on that now. Back to the live chat. Lots of people getting involved. Thank you very much. So do you have a magic cure for your cold? Do you have a magic cure? Lilia says, when I start feeling unwell, the first thing I do is switch off all the technology. Well, sometimes being quiet and alone can help you to recover from most illnesses. Sometimes relaxing in a dark room, maybe you can lie on the bed and close the curtains and relax. Sometimes that can be very therapeutic. I think so. Catherine says, your videos are so lovely and captivating. I tried to make one for my group, but it was a complete mess. Oh, Catherine, don't give up. If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's what I say. When I first started making my English lessons, well, they weren't very good. They weren't very good. I was very nervous and I didn't know how to use the technology. And that was many years ago, but now I think I've almost got the hang of it now. Almost. How does one become a moderator? Well, I have chosen 2 people to be the moderators here, so it's actually my choice. So Pedro and Belarusia, they are regular viewers and they are here every week, and I have made them the moderators, but who knows? Later on it might be someone else. It might be you, Bella. Who knows? Kaiba says, this is the season of flu. Also coughs. Yes, lots of people coughing, sneezing at the moment, especially here in the UK because we are still in winter. Even I feel as if I want to have a little cough right now. So I will drink a little bit of water. I can barely breathe because my temperature is so high. Oh, I see. So where you are, I think it must be very warm at the moment. Yes, the bridge that you saw is original, and it is the first ever iron bridge to be built in the world. I'm not joking. Nice to meet you again, Mr. Duncan. Thank you, Giovanni. That's very kind of you. We are doing something different today because I'm in the garden. I'm doing something live in the garden. So anything can happen, including my neighbour going by driving his big tractor. I am a positive person, says Amory de Oliveira. A positive person. So you are an optimist. An optimistic person is a person who tends to look on the bright side. They tend to be very positive. Thank you, Pedro. You are optimistic as well. That's nice to know. Do you have any magic cures for your illness? Kaiba says, I am pessimistic. Oh dear. Kaiba says, I am very pessimistic. Well, that's not very nice. I suppose it depends how well your life is going at the time. I know sometimes I can be a little bit pessimistic. I know sometimes I can look on the dark side of things. But for most of the time, I try to look on the positive side, the optimistic side. Escalinazo says, Mr. Duncan, do you see the half glass full or half empty? I always see the glass half full. So I always try to be optimistic whenever I can. I always try to look on the bright side of life, if possible. Lilia and also Yo-Yo are here. Lots of people on the live chat. Also, we have Eggy Bauli. I hope I pronounced your name right. Good afternoon from Italy. From Lake Como. Oh, I know Lake Como very well. I think Mr. Steve's sister has actually been to Lake Como. I will ask Steve about that later on. Also, Jamelia is here. I am 100% positive. Oh, that's good. Anna says, I love when one of your viewers send you their videos filmed near their house. I would like to see some more of those. Well, if you would like to send something, you are more than welcome to do so. No problem. No problem at all. You are more than welcome to do that if you wish. Mr. Steve will be here soon, talking about lots of things. We're talking about work and jobs and words, phrases, things that you can connect to those subjects. So Mr. Steve will be here very shortly, but first we're going to have a look at one of my full English lessons. Here is an excerpt from Full English number 20, and then after that Mr. Steve will be right here. I love watching movies and TV shows, especially when my favourite performers are in them. However, sometimes I find myself wondering whether or not they are putting as much effort into their performances as they could be. For instance, sometimes an actor in a movie might give a subdued performance in their role. I'm sure we have all seen this happen. When this occurs, we can say that the actor is phoning in their actions. They are not putting as much effort into what they are doing as they usually do. I didn't think much of Bruce Willis in The Whole Nine Yards. He seemed to be phoning it in. This means that the actor in question seemed bored and disinterested in the role he was playing. He seemed to be phoning it in. A dull performance can be described as weak, lackluster, bland, and uninspiring. They are doing it without any interest whatsoever. They are phoning it in. It's time now to take a look at another buzzword. A buzzword is a word or sentence that is popular or well used during a certain period of time. Today's buzzword is meme. In its original use, the word meme is a noun that means an element of a culture or system of behaviour passed on from one individual to another by imitation or other non-genetic means. That is to say, a habit or type of behaviour which is passed on by being copied or imitated by others. These days the word meme relates to an image, video or piece of text which is typically humorous in nature, that is copied and spread rapidly by internet users, often with slight variations. So, a meme is a funny picture, or a humorous video clip, or a catchy slogan. I'm sure recently you have looked at a meme on the internet. Perhaps it was that winning baby, or maybe that miserable cat, or that sarcastic reinterpretation of Willy Wonka, or perhaps it was that annoyed baby. Each one of these images is a good example of a meme. What exactly is a phrasal verb? Well, first of all, a verb is a word that expresses an action. It is a doing word. It shows an action. Phrasal verbs are formed by two or more words, usually consisting of an adverb and a main verb. They can be transitive or intransitive. Good examples of phrasal verbs include run out. You run out of petrol. You've used up all the petrol. The petrol has run out. The car has used up all the petrol. Another good phrasal verb is hang up. To end a telephone conversation is to hang up. You hang up on someone. You hang up on the person you are talking to. Then there is hand in. You hand in your homework. You give the homework to your teacher. Another phrasal verb is mix up. This can be the action of combining or mixing two or more things together. Mix up can also mean to mistake one thing for another. Phrasal verbs are used as a way of expressing an action in an informal way. They can often be confusing to those learning English as a second language. And of course, don't forget there are lots of other English lessons on my YouTube channel and many, many episodes of Mr. Duncan's Full English. It's a Sunday, it's a fun day, it's a very strange moment of time because we are in the garden. And now joining me as well, here he is. He's been poorly, he's been sick during the week, he's not feeling very well. In fact, he spent 24 hours in bed sleeping. Yes, it's Mr. Steve. Steve.
Oh, Mr. Duncan, I haven't been very well this week.
Steve said, don't worry, I'm not going to talk loudly. You can turn the microphone right up, don't worry. I will only be talking very softly. And the first thing Steve does is makes the loudest noise possible. So thanks for that.
I have had a bad cold this week, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
I've got my tissues ready.
You don't sound good now.
No, I'm not going to strain my voice today. And Mr. Duncan, he knows I'm recovering from a cold.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. But he said, let's go outside on what is quite a cold day. It looks nice and sunny, but in fact it's quite cold, so I don't want to catch pneumonia, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, it does seem strange that I've decided to drag Mr. Steve out into the garden. Now, it's quite pleasant, but the thing is, Mr. Steve is under the weather.
Under the weather?
Literally under the weather. We are literally under the weather today, but Mr. Steve is not feeling very well. So if you have any magic remedies or maybe a magic cure for the common cold, because Steve is not feeling very well. When you came back on Thursday, he went out singing on Thursday night, and I didn't want him to. I thought, Mr. Steve, you're going to become very ill if you keep rushing around doing things. So you came back on Thursday and you looked absolutely dreadful. You were white. You could barely speak. So I said to you, you have to take a rest. So the next day you had a day off work, and you relaxed. You had a good sleep, and then you seemed a lot better yesterday.
I am a lot better, thank you, Mr. Duncan. I had to go out Thursday night because we've got a show next week.
Yeah.
And there was a very important rehearsal, so I went along. I didn't do any singing because I couldn't. But I did feel a bit ill when I came back, so I decided to take Friday off work, and I spent most of the day asleep.
Yes, it's true. So Steve had the day off on Friday. He didn't go to work, but he just spent it in bed asleep. But
I did.
That's what we said earlier. Sometimes just having nothing nearby. So you just go into your bedroom, you close the curtains, you lie on the bed and you go to sleep. Sometimes that is the best cure.
I'd like to be doing that right now, Mr. Duncan, but unfortunately you've dragged me outside to help you with this live English show.
Isn't it strange that I've dragged you out into the garden when you're not feeling very well? And now it's not cold today. but it's not warm.
It's not brilliant.
No, it's about 14 degrees.
It doesn't. Yes, it feels probably less than that. That's why I've got this scarf on.
Do you want to see this morning, the
And
view?
I've got layers.
Do you want to see the view this morning?
I saw it.
It was really, really foggy. So here it is. This is the view that we saw this morning as we woke up. So look out there now. On the screen, you can see the view that greeted us this morning. It was so foggy.
It was very surprising. We didn't expect fog this morning.
It was
Mr.
very foggy indeed.
But we did. Foggy day in London town, which is the line from a song.
Is it?
1950s song, I think.
See
A
that
foggy day in London town.
see,
Has me something and has me down.
see that would be good if we were broadcasting from London, but we're not.
I know. Foggy day in Much Wenlock town.
I don't know what's happening today, but it seems everyone is doing something today. We had the farmer with his tractor. We had dog walkers going by, staring at us, and now we have an aeroplane that is flying round and round above our heads.
Well, Mr. Duncan, the thing with you is, you think that if you want to come outside and broadcast, everybody else should keep quiet.
Yes, that's it. That is exactly what I think. I think if I'm doing my live stream outside, everyone should be completely quiet. They shouldn't be making any sounds whatsoever.
Perhaps you should make a big announcement.
Yes.
Say an hour before your show goes out. A big announcement to the whole of Much Wenlock on a big loudspeaker
No, I don't have to do that.
to say, please everybody be quiet.
I don't have to do that, Steve. What I can do is just say every Sunday, can everyone just stay in their houses and not go outside? Just stay in their houses. Can you all just stay indoors? Don't make any noise because I want to do my live stream in peace.
I don't think we're important enough for that, Mr. Duncan. That's the problem.
Is that too much to ask?
Yes, I'm having a drink of water.
Oh, by the way, last weekend we were being a little bit critical of the place where we normally go to have our afternoon lunch.
Were we?
On Saturday. Do you remember? Because it was your birthday last week.
Yes.
And we got very upset because no one said happy birthday to us. But we found out yesterday that the owner of the place where we go to actually have our lunch, she had an accident just a few days before. She broke her leg, but we didn't realise.
We didn't realise she'd broken her leg.
Because she was sitting down.
Yes.
So it was only yesterday when we went there again that we realised that she had actually broken her leg. We didn't realise. So I think last weekend, Steve, I don't think they were thinking about your birthday because they had more important things to think about.
Well, I wasn't. I'm not that important. Why should they take note of my birthday? Although we were after a free cake.
Yes.
We didn't get it, but, we can excuse a broken leg.
That's what Steve was after.
You said it, not me, Mr. Duncan.
Steve was trying to get a free cake.
I was not, because Mr. Duncan was the one that said it was my birthday. I wanted to keep it quiet because I'm modest. I don't like to show off. I don't like, unwanted attention. But Mr. Duncan said it's Mr. C's birthday, and in the hope that we get a free cake. It didn't work. We didn't get even a happy birthday, but the owner had broken her leg, so we can forgive her for that.
But we didn't realise. So we are sorry that we got rather upset last week.
We didn't get upset.
Well,
we didn't get upset.
I think Steve was more upset than me.
Well, because... No, I wasn't.
He was expecting... I know, secretly, you see. Steve pretends to be modest, but really, it's all false.
The thing is, you want some attention on your birthday, particularly if it's a place you go to regularly. You would expect, even just a candle or a little bit of something.
Yes, well...
Or even a happy birthday would have been nice.
For some people, their birthday is the only time of year that they get any attention from anyone. I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about me, by the way.
So what are we talking about today, Mr. Duncan? How are we helping to teach people around the world how to speak better English?
Yes, and also how to improve your listening skills as well. So one of the main reasons why we do this is everything you see here is spontaneous. We chat live. Today we are chatting in the garden, something slightly different.
What do you think to my deep, husky voice, Mr. Duncan? Does it sound sexy?
No.
Oh no, well,
Not-
it's nasally. I'm full of fluids. All in my sinuses.
I don't think we want to know that.
Well, I can't get above an E at the moment, Mr. Duncan, in terms of a note.
Oh, I see. I wonder what you were referring to then.
I need to be able to soar up to a top B flat, but I can't get above an E at the moment.
Anyway, no singing today because Mr. Steve is feeling under the weather.
I've got a show next week. I've got to be able to perform.
Would you like to see the live chat?
Yes, you know I like to see the live chat, Mr.
The live
Duncan.
chat is very busy. There it is.
Beatrice says, a good natural medicine is tea with ginger, honey and lemon. Yes, that's what my mother always recommended. Vitamin C, and I think the acetic acid from the lemons acts as something that will dilute out all the thick phlegm
Ugh.
and help it to be removed. Expectorant, I
Yes.
think they call it.
So the phlegm is all the sticky stuff.
Sukat likes my voice, you see, with a lower tone.
Yes. Okay. So phlegm, for those who are wondering, the word phlegm, it's a very strange word because it has a silent P, but it's all the green, horrible, sticky stuff that forms in your throat.
Sergio says viruses can't be killed. That is true, but there are medicines to induce interferon or immune. Yeah, you can't do a lot with viruses. You can't give them antibiotics because they don't work. You've just got to let your body get rid of it. And things like echinacea, vitamin C, I'm taking that. Don't know whether it's helped, but hopefully I will be right as rain, as they say. Right as rain. In other words, back to full health again in a few days' time.
Yeah. So if you are feeling unwell, we can say that you are under the weather. But if you are feeling very well, or you have just recovered from an illness, we can say that you are now right as rain.
Right as rain.
You are better.
Olga says that she's going against the trend. Most people think I sound sexy today, but Olga is saying that it makes her feel like she's got a pain in her throat.
Yes, I think so.
My throat isn't aching.
So I think listening to Steve's voice today, I think everyone wants to actually cough. They feel as if they might be coming down with a cold or a fever themselves.
Well, let's hope I don't transmit any viruses over the internet.
Oh, very clever.
Oh, did you get that, Mr. Duncan?
That's very clever. A computer virus.
Well, I meant a real virus, but never mind. So thank you for all your well wishes. It's only a cold. And of course, a common phrase that people use, certainly in the UK, I don't know about in other parts of the world, but if a man gets a cold, you know, a sore throat, a cold, he tends to complain a lot. And there's a phrase for that, that a woman will say to a man when he's complaining about a cold, they will say, oh, it's just man flu. And man flu is basically just a cold that the implication is that a woman will just get on with everything and not moan, but a man gets a cold and he complains a lot. And after a while, a woman will just say to him, oh, stop being such a baby, it's just man flu.
Because this is quite a controversial thing, because some people believe that men get more, they're like little babies when they become ill, and they always complain about it, whereas women are seen as being stronger when they become unwell. They carry on doing everything, whereas a man will often complain.
But yes, because he wants sympathy, you see. Sympathy from a woman, and then sympathy means that other things may come from that. Yes, you see, we're always thinking. But of course, there has been some research, Mr. Duncan.
Has there?
That came out last year, I believe.
Okay.
And they've sort of proved that when a man gets a virus infection in his throat, a cold, he actually does suffer and get more symptoms than a woman. They've actually there was a study that showed that there's more side effects from a man having a cold than a woman.
You do realise now you've mentioned
Very controversial.
that. You do realise now you've mentioned that you're going to have to actually prove the actual study with some documentation.
Well, I didn't actually produce the study. I saw it was reported on the news.
Yes, but you're conveying the information.
I don't know where it comes from. You'll have to Google it or MSM it or whatever.
Because you know what will happen? Everyone will be saying, they'll all be saying, Mr. Steve, it's fake news, fake news.
Now, I do get colds badly. I'm convinced whenever I get a cold, I suffer more than other people. I definitely do, Mr. Duncan. You never get colds, do you?
I rarely become ill with colds or fevers, anything. It's quite, I don't know how or why, but for some reason, I rarely become ill at all. Since coming back from China 12 years ago, I've only had about 2, maybe 3 colds.
Yes. I think because when you were in China, you had so many bad virus infections.
Yeah.
That you're just immune from everything from life now. Because I think that's what's happened. It's strengthened your immune system.
I think so, yes. I think that's it, you see. So if you live in a place where lots of people become ill and you live there for a long time, then all of the things that happen, especially if you catch the viruses or the illness yourself, then what happens over time is you become immune to all of these things. So when I returned back here to the UK, all of those illnesses and viruses were slowly making their way to the UK. But I was already immune to all of them.
Palmyra's knows your medical weaknesses quite well. Remembering from last year, she said the pollen's coming, the blossom's coming out.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Duncan has to beware because he gets the hay fever.
I do. I suffer
weakness.
I suffer badly from hay fever during the summer months.
Whereas I'm lucky enough, I don't get that. I get bad colds in the winter and nothing in the summer. And Mr. Duncan is okay in the winter and then gets his hay fever in the summer.
Yes.
So, between the two of us, we managed to keep going all through all the seasons.
So for the whole year, at least one of us is unwell.
Guadalupe's going already.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to watch the complete lesson later.
Oh, I see.
Good. We look forward to hearing your comments.
We will see you later at Guadalupe. Don't forget, you can watch the live stream later on with subtitles. And if you are very lucky, you can actually have subtitles during the live stream as well. So when we're live, so some of you will actually have subtitles right now when we're live.
They're spoilt, Mr. Duncan, spoilt.
There's something I have noticed, because YouTube are making lots of changes at the moment. At the moment, they're not giving me my subtitles later. So that's not fair. So at the moment, I'm having to create my own subtitles later. So later on, when you watch the recording of this, there might not be subtitles, but I will create some, because it looks as if YouTube have stopped giving me the subtitles later.
They know who you are, Mr. Duncan.
Don't they realise who I am? I've been on this channel, this YouTube site, for nearly 13 years.
Doesn't seem to give you any privileges at all.
I sometimes think they're trying to get rid of me.
We've all been trying to do that, Mr. Duncan. You fell for that one. I've been trying to get rid of him for years as well.
Yes.
Oh, I've got to ask YouTube what the secret is. Just ignore you. Is that what it is? Is that the secret?
I'm just wondering what medication Steve's been taking.
I'm on everything. I'm high as a kite.
Yeah.
I'm dosed up, as we say here.
Isn't that just normal, though?
I remember years ago, when in my first job,
Yeah.
I was working in a hospital lab doing blood tests.
Oh, great.
And I came down with this awful cold, and I remember, I was only quite young at the time, and I remember one of the colleagues that I was working with, she was the secretary, and she came by and said, "Oh, you don't look very well." She said, "I'll come back later and dose you up." And that really comforted me at the time, because I thought she was going to come back with some pills to make me feel better, and she never did.
She never came back?
She never came back with any pills.
It sounds to me like she was just trying to get out of the room.
I don't know, I think she was. I don't think she came back because she didn't want to catch what I'd got.
That's what I think. I think they were trying to leave the room to avoid catching Mr. Steve's bugs. That's what I think. Would you like to have another look at the live chat?
I would.
Yes,
I do feel strangely energetic. I think because I've been resting for the last few days, mind you, saying resting,
Yeah.
last night we watched one of our favourite
Yeah.
TV shows, didn't we, Mr. Duncan? We won't go into details. I can tell you don't want me to go into details. Called The Expanse.
Yes. Has anyone actually seen that TV show? There is a TV program, science fiction program called The Expanse. And it would appear that no one talks about it, yet I think it's one of the best TV shows around.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant. It's such a good TV show.
It's far better than Star Trek.
Yes, it's much better than Star Trek Discovery, which is a load of rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
It's not very good. It's too much political correctness going on.
Yes.
But The Expanse is a very good TV show. It's actually available at the moment on Amazon Prime. So if you are a member of Amazon Prime, you get that for free. So I do recommend a TV show called The Expanse.
But if you're not a science fiction fan, I think anyone would enjoy it because yes, it's science fiction, but a lot of the way the action happens, it could be any action film.
Yeah.
Battle sequences, and they're all so well done, and the characters are so real. And we thought it had been, or it possibly has been, cancelled as a show.
Yes.
But we're hoping it'll be resurrected because it's just brilliant.
Yes, it is a good TV show. So there are 3 seasons. So we're watching the 3rd season, and it would appear that it's the last season of The Expanse. But if you haven't seen it, I do recommend it to you. What's
Sue
that?
Cat's husband has watched it.
Okay, Steve, wait there. I have to press all the buttons. So Sue Cat's husband has seen the first episode of The Expanse, and he likes it.
Well, it just gets better and better, Sue Cat. You tell your husband to keep on watching it.
Yes.
You watch it as well, because it's science fiction, but it's just about everything. Jeff says, I need chicken soup. Now, chicken soup is a very old-fashioned, well-renowned remedy for colds and flu.
Really?
Yes, because apparently something in the chicken does something to your immune system and helps you to overcome the virus.
This is something I've heard before, though. I've heard this before. So you give chicken soup to someone when they're feeling under the weather.
Definitely, when they've got a viral infection, it somehow stimulates the immune system to help you overcome the virus.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually proven scientifically.
That's interesting.
Whereas vitamin C has been proven to have no effect whatsoever, or very little effect.
So what I should have done is actually given you chicken soup.
Should have given me something, yes. You didn't give me anything, did you? I had to cook my own meals. He didn't look after me, viewers.
That's you're
joking.
You're such a liar.
You did look after me a little bit.
Well, Friday you were asleep all day.
But when I woke up, I could have been woken up to a nice bowl of fresh chicken soup.
Yes, but I didn't realise.
Well, there's chickens around here. You could have gone and stolen one of the neighbour's chickens, wringed its neck, and turned it into soup.
That's true. There are a lot of chickens living around here. So because there's lots of them, I'm sure the neighbours wouldn't miss one.
What would you call that if you stole somebody's chicken? I wonder what would happen. I wonder if they found out what would actually happen if you were caught around here stealing one of the neighbour's chickens.
I've never stolen a chicken.
No.
I've never grabbed someone's chicken. I've never grabbed... I was going to say something else there. You know what I was going to say. You know what I was going to say. Yes, you do. You're so rude and dirty and disgusting, and I love it.
Everyone's got their own remedy. Everyone has their own favourite remedy for overcoming colds and flu.
Okay.
See, alcohol, there's another one there. Beatrice says, an old medicine is hot wine when you go to sleep. Yes, in this country we say take a hot toddy, have a swig of whiskey with honey in it, spirits or brandy. Whiskey's a common one here. My father always used to, if he had a cold, and he used to have a lot of colds. He suffered from them just like I do, 2 or 3 a year at least. And he always used to have alcohol. And I think it's, if you think it's going to work, I think it probably does. I don't think any of them actually do anything. But I think if you believe it does, it will actually a placebo, isn't it? It's like a doctor saying, "Take this and you'll get better."
Yes,
If
so-
you believe it is, a lot of your body getting better, recovering from an illness, is you actually believing you're going to get better.
Yes.
And the doctor's actually just facilitating your own system,
Yeah.
not actually doing much to help you at all.
Well, maybe doing this today, maybe this might be therapeutic for you, so it might actually make you feel better. So tomorrow you will be able to go to work.
Oh, I'll have to go to work. I can't take a Friday and a Monday off.
No.
That is so suspicious. If
Yeah.
you are an employer and your employees take Friday off or Monday off, you know that they're trying to get a long weekend. It's the worst thing you can ever do. In fact, I know if they're ever going to make redundancies.
Okay.
I've worked with a company that have made redundancies in the past, and they have all these little things that they look at to try and decide who they're going to make redundant. And one of the factors involved in their decision-making process is how many Fridays and Mondays did employers take off for sick?
Really?
Yes, and if you habitually or regularly take a Friday and a Monday off as sick, then that says to your employer that if you take Monday off, it means you've had a heavy weekend, you've been boozing or something like that, and you want to make the weekend a bit longer. Or if you take Friday off, again, you just want to have an early weekend. So it's
Yeah.
very suspicious. So I took Friday off, but I was genuinely ill.
Definitely.
But I wouldn't take Monday off unless I was really, really ill, because that would make my employers very suspicious.
You'd have to be dead.
Yes.
To
I'd
take-
have to have a certificate from the doctor.
Yes, you'd have to be dead to take Monday off. But then the problem with that, of course, is you'd have to take the rest of the week off as well.
Yes.
So here we go. It's Sunday afternoon. It's just after 3 o'clock here in the UK, and you're watching Live English with Mr. Steve and Mr. Duncan. Yes, we are here today. We are here, and we are here every Sunday. Well, almost every Sunday, because next Sunday we're not here.
We're not here next Sunday.
Something very unusual. We are not here next Sunday, but the next week after that, we will be here, which I think is the 10th. So the next live stream, the next live English stream after today, will be on the 10th of March, March the 10th. And there are some changes as well, some small changes taking place.
It must be the first Sunday we've had off for a long time.
It's a long time since we missed Sunday.
Since you had your computer, I think, since you had your new computer last year and you redid all the studio.
Yes, definitely. I think it's been a few months that we've been here every Sunday. But next Sunday we won't be here, I'm afraid to say. The live stream is quite busy today with the live chat. And I know Mr. Steve always gets very excited.
I do, because I like to interact with your students, Mr. Duncan.
Jimmy says, "Greetings, Mr. Duncan. I am going off topic, but have you guys read Jane Eyre? What does this novel remind you of?" Does it? I don't know. Is it? Are you referring to something personal? I'm not sure. I don't know where you're going with that one.
Two people, Mr. Duncan, have said, I've noticed, that there aren't any subtitles. Belarusia has said that, and somebody else has just said it before.
Yes, I think YouTube is making lots of changes at the moment, and some of them are positive and some of them aren't, but they are changing a lot of things at the moment. Some of the features on YouTube are actually being discontinued. So they're taking away a lot of the features on YouTube that used to be there. Yes. So all of these changes on YouTube will be occurring over the next few weeks, which is one of the reasons why I will be making some changes as well. So the two things are not coincidental. They are actually done on purpose. What takes you from the normal? I don't know what that means.
Tomek, you are right. A drink before going to bed is often called a nightcap.
Ah, yes. So you can have a nightcap, normally an alcoholic drink.
Yes.
You can have a little bit of whiskey or a little bit of brandy before you go to bed. We call that a nightcap.
Something that was, it's like something that will help you to sleep.
Yes.
And help you go to sleep.
Oh, Juan says I was in a spelling bee contest and I lost.
Oh dear.
So what was the word that you got wrong?
Well, but the important thing is you took part.
Yes.
That's very brave. Well done for even taking part in the first place. So we congratulate you on that. Because if you're not in the game, as they say, there's no chance of winning. So if you hadn't have gone in for it, see, next time you might win.
Yes. So you never know. So don't give up. So you can always enter next year. You can always take part in the contest again next year. There's always another chance. That's what I say. So sometimes it's best to be an optimist. Be optimistic about your situation, I think, instead of being a pessimist. Now, I think sometimes you, Mr. Steve, you are a little bit of a pessimist sometimes. You do sometimes look on the dark side of things or the negative side. So I think sometimes you can be a little negative. Would you agree?
My father, I always remember this. It's funny how you remember certain things. My father said to me, I was probably only about 11 or 12 at the time. He said, "You're a pessimist."
He said it to you.
He actually said it to me, yes.
He said it to you.
I don't know what I was saying at the time, but my father was a great optimist.
I see.
Everything was always going to work. Everything would always turn out well, as far as my father was concerned. He was always positive. Quite a high achiever in the things that he did in his life. He always believed in himself and what you could do. But for whatever reason, I would say I'm probably neutral. I'm neither an optimist or a pessimist. I'm not half glass half full or glass half empty. I'm just sort of. I'm neither.
Yes, I think sometimes you can be a little bit. The glass is completely cracked, and all the water has drained away.
I have extremes.
Yes, so sometimes I think you can be a little negative. Sometimes I always try to be positive, but however bad things seem to be, sometimes you just have to brush yourself down and carry on. A bit like the spelling bee. So just because you didn't succeed this year with your spelling competition, it doesn't mean you can't enter the same contest next year.
Somebody else once said to me, "You're a glass empty kind of guy."
Well, maybe that's a better way of describing you.
I do get into negative rants, don't I, Mr. Duncan? I do tend to see the bad things in life, and you've often said I find it difficult to be happy.
Yes.
But then, you've got to have some things around you to make you happy, haven't you? Worthwhile.
Oh, I see. Are you suggesting that I make you unhappy?
Not at all.
Yes.
I'm sure I'd have committed suicide many years ago if you weren't around, Mr. Duncan. I'm only joking, of course. I would never do such a thing. Not while my mother's alive.
Okay. Can I just apologise for everything Steve...
I'm
Can
joking.
I apologise for everything Steve just said there? Sorry about that.
Just
Everything.
a joke. Just
Everything.
a joke.
Well, the problem is nowadays everyone is so sensitive, so you have to apologise even if you've said nothing wrong, because you think that maybe someone will take offence. So whatever we say today, whatever we do, whatever we uttered, whatever words came out of our mouths, we apologise, whatever it is. There
We've
we
got
go.
a pigeon walking in front of us now, Mr. Duncan. Obviously, very interested in learning English.
Yes,
It's a very big pigeon.
Well, it's Pigeon English.
Oh, Mr. Duncan. Pigeon English.
Yes, you see. Do you like that?
That's what he's talking, is it? Pigeon English.
Yes.
Yes. Saturina says, who's flown off now, I thought that said a cow worker, a co-worker. When she used to go to work the first day of her flu, so the other workers could catch the flu too.
Oh.
When she used to go to work the first day... Oh, so she used to go to work to deliberately give it to other people? And then you'd all get a day off work? Interesting.
That sounds to me a little bit like in the United States, where they get the kids all together to catch each other's illnesses. Have you heard of that?
Yes, actually, yes. Well, they do that with children, don't they?
Yeah.
They used to have measles parties with children. They used to before we had vaccination, because or mumps, because you don't want these child mumps, measles. You don't want these illnesses when you get older because
No.
they're more serious. So they used to deliberately have parties for children so that they'd all catch these diseases when they were younger.
Yes, very strange.
In this country to develop some immunity.
I don't think we did it here, did we?
Yes, we did. Yes, I think it was it mumps party? I don't think it was for some childhood disease. They used to like all the children to get together so they'd all pass it around and become immune so
Yeah.
that they got it when they were younger.
I tell you one thing you don't want as an adult, and that's mumps,
Oh no,
especially if you're a man,
definitely not.
because it can completely make you sterile. Is that true?
It can have serious effects on the male
don't
reproductive
don't
system.
your things don't they fall off?
They get a bit larger.
Do they grow?
Yes.
Oh, that might be a benefit then. That might be a good thing.
Talking of large testicles, Mr. Duncan, we saw a wildlife programme, did we not? Last week. It's not on your script, but we're going off topic again. And they were talking about whales, and we just happened to turn the programme.
What, you mean the country?
It was a wildlife programme with David Attenborough,
Okay.
famous naturalist.
Oh, I thought you meant Wales like the place.
Oh no, Mr. Duncan, no, whales.
I'm just misunderstanding you.
WH.
Okay.
ALES, those large beasts of the ocean, and largest mammals on Earth, I think. And they were anyway. You know what these wildlife programs are about? They always film reproduction, don't they?
They film reproduction.
They're always filming animals having sex, aren't they, on these wildlife programs? I don't know what it is, but they've got obsessed with sex with animals.
What sort of things are you watching?
But anyone who watches a wildlife program, you know what I mean. It's not long. Whatever it is, antelopes, bears, ants, whatever it is, they're always end up showing them mating.
You're telling me that you watch programs where antelopes and bears have sex?
Not interspecial. I'm talking. You know what wildlife programs are about? Or they're obsessed with showing the animals mating at some point.
Yes,
well, anyway,
there's two things they tend to show, and that's animals, animals having sex and animals being killed.
yes, they're the two things.
So they're normally being chased. So you have this furry little animal, and it's being chased by a lion or a tiger, or you see two animals and they're just sort of.
Well, I think we've been traumatised by what we saw on the television last week.
By the way, I wasn't traumatised.
I was. It's not what you expect at sort of just when you're about to eat your tea. It's about 5 o'clock. I think it was last Sunday or something like that.
Is there
It was whales, these humpbacked whales, these giant whales, and suddenly they were shown. Well, it was disgusting. It was pornographic, Mr. Duncan.
I still don't know what you're on about.
David Attenborough just I don't even know how I can say it. That doesn't sound disgusting.
Well, I hope you say something because you've been leading up to this for
they
5.
were showing whales having sex,
Oh, I see.
and it was not a pretty sight.
Really?
No, it was not a pretty sight. And the one statistic I can remember is that apparently the humpback whale's testicles weigh several tons. How about that for a statistic you didn't know? We won't talk about the penis. That did not look pretty. That's what it said. David Attenborough said a humpback whale's testicles weigh several tons.
Yes. Well, hello everyone. If you just tuned
I
in,
suppose it's all to scale.
I don't know what to say to that, but I suppose I should apologise once again if you were upset or offended or affected by anything Steve.
Nature. You can't be offended by nature.
By anything Steve just said.
Cannot be offended by nature. It is nature. So what are we going to talk about next, Mr. Duncan?
Gee, I have no idea. You've completely thrown me.
You can't get that image out of your head, can you?
Well, I think I can get it out of my head easier than you can. seems to be all you're thinking about.
I'm not thinking about it. It's just it's traumatized me.
Oh, okay. But why? Why are you traumatized by it?
I don't know what it was. It was just all wrong. You shouldn't be showing that on television at tea time.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know,
What would you
call me
rather?
prudish.
What would you rather watch on television?
Not that. Oh, I don't know. A story about somebody driving through America in a Ford Mustang. That's what I'd like to see at tea time.
I think I'd rather see a whale's testicles.
Or a rerun of. They didn't show the testicles. They showed something else, but they didn't show the. I'd like to see You like to see gentle programs at tea time, don't you? Sort of programs, something like some cosy sitcom.
A cosy sitcom.
Yes, you don't want to see whales mating just before you have your tea.
I don't know. Some people might enjoy that, though.
Well, I didn't.
So, do you think you have the right to take away people's enjoyment of watching a couple of males enjoying what comes naturally?
No, Olga says yes. Olga was curious about whale sex, according to that. No, her child was, rather. And no, they don't have any visible organs. But believe me, they are there. And apparently there's some special flap that opens or something. That's all I remember. I remember David Attenborough using the word flap. A flap opens and then this very mobile male organ appears. Highly mobile male organ appears.
What I find
watch out, female dolphin.
I'm trying to say something, Steve. For God's sake, just calm down.
It's the paracetamol.
It's something. It's. I think you're mixing your medication.
It's sitting down. I've got more energy.
Yes. Well,
all my energy isn't used to stay upright. I can use it now for mental energy and my voice.
don't get too comfortable. That's all I can say.
Flies.
What? What's wrong now?
Nothing.
We are just writing without taking any intention. Come on. I don't know what that means. Corchi. I don't know what Steve's on about today. I apologise. I knew it was a mistake to bring Steve outside. I can hear the birds singing. Yes, there is a robin that keeps coming to sit right by us. Very curious.
Really?
Yes. Well, it's gone now. It's gone now. But there was a robin sitting. In fact, I can hear it now and again.
It's probably looking for a mate.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, it's spring, you know.
You're obsessed.
The sap's rising, the hormones are coursing through your body. It's that time of year.
I think you need to go and see a doctor. For various reasons.
It's the whale video.
Hey, I tell you what, we've got some interesting things to talk about today. I believe you have some words and expressions to do with being at work or having a job. So
I do.
This is something that I thought would be interesting. So words connected to having a job or words connected to work in general. I tell you one thing, my hands are freezing.
I told Mr. Duncan he wouldn't be warm enough. Put a coat on.
Because the sun is gone now. So the sun has gone round. And suddenly I'm very aware that I'm freezing cold.
Well, we've only got 40 minutes to go, Mr. Duncan.
40 minutes? Oh my goodness, I don't think I will survive.
Oh, I've got a bit of loose skin on my nail. I've got to get rid of that. That's annoying me.
Apparently Anna says that the parts of an animal's bodies are in proportion with the rest of their bodies. Yes, that makes sense.
Exactly.
I suppose that makes sense.
Do you want me to talk about these words, Mr. Duncan?
Would you like to talk about them?
I would.
Do you want to?
Right. Words connected with job, words connected with work, idioms, phrases that we use in common everyday language. Let's look at ones connected with job first.
Yes, okay.
Mr. Duncan, you can help me here. I haven't got my own camera today, have I?
No.
Just the one camera.
Yeah, just one camera.
Right.
No personal personal camera for Steve.
Here's a phrase that people often use in a sarcastic manner. Don't give up the day job. Don't give up the day job. It's a humorous, sarcastic way of telling somebody to stick to what they do best or to stick to their normal job. It's a way of telling somebody that they haven't got much talent in something, but they might be a bit deluded. They might think that they're talented in something, but in fact they're not. So you might say to somebody, "Oh, I heard you singing at the karaoke bar the other night. My advice is don't give up the day job." In other words, your singing wasn't very good, and you should just stick to your normal job. Right, you could ask somebody, for example, I could say to somebody, because as you know, I appear in a lot of amateur dramatic musicals and plays. I could say to somebody, "Oh, you've seen me in a few Amdram musicals. What do you think? Could I make a career out of it?" And they might turn round to me and say, "Don't give up the day job." In other words, they don't think I'm good enough. So it's a sort of a friendly, semi-sarcastic way of telling somebody that they should stick to what they're good at. Jobbing. Here's another one. Jobbing. If you're jobbing, it means you're just doing something part-time or occasionally. It's not a regular income. It's an income, but not a regular income. So they often talk about jobbing actors, for example. A jobbing actor or a jobbing gardener. A jobbing actor is somebody who... Acting, of course, is a notorious profession for being very difficult to get regular work. And so an actor might do another job as a main day job, but occasionally get work as an actor. So you could say that they're a jobbing actor. Somebody that does a bit of gardening but not a lot of it, you could say was a jobbing gardener. So they might have a main job working in an office, but they do this sort of part-time to try and get extra income. Jobsworth. Now, this is right. This might take a while to explain. I think it's probably a uniquely British expression. I'm not entirely sure, so I'd like to know if anybody uses this expression anywhere else around the world. So in the UK, if we use this expression, it's usually referred to a person in minor authority. So there might be a petty official or somebody in a quite a low grade job, but they have a little bit of power, and they use the rules, often silly rules, to make life difficult for others, just because they can, because they like that little bit of power, because they're probably unhappy in their job. They don't like other people being paid more than them. There's something they're unhappy about. Jobsworth. They often do things that seem very unfair. They sort of lack humanity in the way they do it, but it makes them feel important. It's a phrase that was popularised a lot in the sort of 1970s and 80s in the UK. I don't know why. It just was. It's more than my job's worth, is what you will often hear people say if they're trying to justify some small petty rule. It's a justification for their behaviour. So, for example, a groundskeeper or a warden might say, "Oh, you can't park in those spaces as they are only for employees." And you might say, "Yes, but I'm only just taking a little delivery in. I'll only be a couple of minutes and then I'll be gone." And they might say, "No, I'm sorry. I know there's nobody parked there now, and there's nobody due for another half an hour, but you just can't park there. That's the rules. It's more than my job's worth, so you'll have to go and park up the road and deliver your parcel that way." So it's somebody who's being a bit petty in trying to do the rules when you don't really need to. Wouldn't you say that? Have you ever come across a jobsworth, Mr. Duncan?
I think a jobsworth is a person who you might come across more in this country.
Yes.
So definitely in this country, you might go into a shop and you might want some extra discount. Maybe you buy something and you say, "Can you please give me this item a little cheaper?" And they say, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't reduce the price." And I say, "Why? Why can't you reduce the price? Just knock another £10 off. Take another £10 off." and they said, no, I can't do that. It's more than my job's worth.
Yes. It's something. It's something. If you're unhappy in your job, you want a little bit of power, and something like that. The car park scene that I described there. That you just want to. There's no real reason why you shouldn't park there, but it might say doctors parking only, for example. But there's 5 clear spaces, and it's obviously the doctors have gone out on their calls, and you just want to park there and put your prescription in.
Yes.
Somebody might come out and say, "Oh, you can't park there."
No, you can't park there.
You say, "Well, you're just dropping a prescription." No, you can't get a park at the road. It's more than my job's worth to let you park there.
I can't let you park there. So if you try to get someone to break the rules, or to,
I dropped something.
If you want someone to break the rules or go against the rules and they refuse to do it, they might say, it's more than my job's worth. Tom X says there is also Jack in the Office.
Ah, interesting.
So maybe it's similar to Jack in the Office. So maybe a person who always does things in the way they're supposed to. They always stick to the rules, so they will never bend the rules. They always do everything by the book. Yes,
there could be. We had to. I remember where I used to work somewhere once before. Pens. If you've got somebody might be assigned the task or the role in the office of looking after the stationery cupboard.
Okay.
Because every office has got a stationery cupboard where they've got the post-it notes and the pens and things.
Yes.
And you can't just walk in there and help yourself.
You can't.
So somebody might say, "Oh, you're only allowed 1 pen a month," or something like that. "No, I can't let you have another pen. You've had that 1 pen this month." And you might say, "Yeah, but I lost it. Somebody stole it." "No, they're the rules. You can't. You can only have 1 pen."
Yeah, that's it.
Job's worth.
That's it. And so we can describe this person as that. So we can use it as a noun.
Exactly.
As well. Quite often, more often than not, I think we use it in this country. Definitely.
We do.
Another one?
You can do a job on. Do a job on. It's a sarcastic way of saying something was done badly, or something was damaged, or some harm was given. The stylist did a real job on my hair.
Oh, I see.
So their job was to make your hair look good, but they did a bad job of it. So you say, "Oh, they did a real job." So you say it in that way. They did a real job on my hair. You could say they did a real number on my hair, or it just means they did something quite badly.
Talking about the use of job, you can also describe something that was carried out or done, such as a bank job. Now, that doesn't mean you work at the bank. That actually means that some people robbed a bank. So the action of robbing a bank can be described as a bank job. So some people pulled off a bank job. They pulled off a bank job.
Somebody, Mr. Duncan, is flying a drone over our house.
I thought I could hear a drone.
Yes, I can see it. It's flying just nearly close. That's illegal. It's illegal. And we ought to film it, Mr. Duncan, so that we can call the police.
I can see it.
Yes.
There's a drone flying.
They're spying on us, Mr. Duncan. Do you think they've heard about our fame?
Yes, they're a little too far away.
Yes.
I don't think they're spying on us.
Mr. Duncan, quick, get your camera out and film it.
Oh, okay.
While I carry on with this, we need the evidence.
Of what?
Well, somebody illegally flying a drone over our house.
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I'm not allowed to do that, Mr. Duncan.
This is all going well. This is going so well.
Are you on the job?
Is anyone still watching?
Are you on the job, Mr. Duncan?
Am I on the job?
Right now, are you on the job?
Well, I am working at the moment, or at least I'm trying to.
Yes, that is one meaning of the word on the job. That means you're at work, you're at your place of business. Employers are not allowed to smoke on the job, which means that when you're working, it's just an expression to mean when you're working, when you're on the job, when you're working. So if you say employers are not allowed to smoke on the job, are not allowed to drink on the job, it means you can't do something when, i.e. smoking or drinking when you're at work. They were asleep on the job. That meant they're supposed to be alert, but they weren't. They fell asleep. the police were asleep on the job. They were supposed to be watching a crime scene and they all fell asleep in the car.
Yeah.
But it
Well-
also,
Would they be watching a crime scene?
well, they might be staking out something, mightn't they?
Oh.
It also means, strangely enough, to be alert or to pay close attention to. You need to be more on the job if you're going to be successful
Yes, more
in
diligent.
this company.
More diligent.
You need to be more, if you say more on the job, you need to be better at your job. I don't feel on the job today. Means you don't feel with it, you don't feel alert. You can have on the job training.
Okay.
On the job training, which means you're being, as opposed to being taught at an institution like a university or something, you might have on the job training, so you're learning how to do a particular job of work with an employer somewhere.
So is that like an apprentice?
Yes, like an apprentice, on the job training.
Ah.
So you're getting training on how to do a particular profession by actually going to work in that place rather than just studying at a university, at an academic place. Being on the job also means something else, Mr. Duncan.
Yes,
something quite rude.
this almost refers back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago about the whales. So if you are on the job, it can also mean you are involved in some kissing and cuddling.
Yes.
What grown-ups do.
Means having sex.
And sometimes David Attenborough will watch them whilst they're doing it, especially if they are whales.
Yes. Get your camera out, Mr. Duncan.
It's very-
we need evidence.
It's very distracting
It's hovering
having...
right over our house. I think we ought to call the police, Mr. Duncan.
Why?
Well, because it's illegal.
Yes. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
There we go. On the job. You're on the job now, doing this live English lesson.
You know, it seems today that everything has happened. Everything that has happened today,
Yes.
all the things that have happened. We had the neighbour with his tractor. He went by. Then we had lots of people walking their dogs, watching us.
Duncan, quick.
And then also we had lots of dogs barking. And now we have a drone flying over our heads,
do.
watching us.
Yes, I
So-
don't know why.
It's all very exciting.
How about this, Mr. Duncan? I'd never heard of this phrase before. A snow job.
A snow job.
A snow job.
I've never heard of a snow job.
Sounds like something else, but it actually is a phrase which is, and maybe if Jeff is still watching, he will tell us, is this phrase, according to where I looked up, it's a phrase which is used a lot in America and Canada.
Oh, okay. So this is from American English.
From American English, a snow job. It's used to elaborate or exaggerate, to flatter, in order to deceive or try to get somebody to do something for you that they might otherwise not want to.
Okay.
My boss did a snow job on me when he persuaded me to take on that project. So the boss probably flattered them, said, "Oh, you'd be great at this. I can't think of anyone better to do it. It's easy. Oh, it'll be a breeze to you." But in fact, it turned out that it was anything but. It was difficult and complicated, and really, he just wanted to get somebody else to do it. So when somebody's flattering you, or salespeople can give you a snow job. For example, if you went to you might buy this second-hand car, get it home, and there's loads of things wrong with it, and your friend might say, "Oh, the salesman did a real snow job on you." Apparently, it's sort of a play on the phrase "snowed under."
Oh,
So
I
it
see.
means you're just sort of covering up all the time.
Oh, I see.
Just bombarding people with lots of stuff to try and persuade them to do something.
Yeah. So
You're
you're overwhelming people with the work that they have to do.
That's it, or trying to flatter them. If Jeff is still on, oh yes, Jeff says it is still used.
Huh.
A snow job.
Yes, I'm going to be honest with you, Steve. I've never come across that phrase.
I hadn't, so want to use phrases that aren't just used in the UK.
See, we are learning as well.
We are learning as you are learning. So that's words to do with job.
Okay.
Do you want me to go on to words to do with work?
We'll have a look at the live chat for a moment. Let's see what's happening on the live chat. It's I tell you something. It's been very, very busy today. We've had lots of things happening. A very eventful live stream. When we say that something is eventful, it means lots of things have been occurring and happening. So we had the tractor, we had the dogs barking, we had the neighbours walking their dogs by the house, we had the pigeon that came down to have a look, we had the drone flying overhead.
Illegally.
So many things going on.
Yes, we do read the live messages, Ash K. It's that we can't read them all because we don't. If we just only read live messages, we wouldn't be able to do anything else.
No,
So
because
apologies. We say this every week. Apologies if we don't read your message out, but we can't read everybody's because we haven't got the time, unfortunately. But it's good that other people do comment about other people's comments.
that's it. Sheikh Ahmed says, I love your lessons. Thank you very much. Don't forget there are lots of lessons on my YouTube channel.
What was that, Mr. Duncan?
Loads of lessons on my YouTube channel.
Your lip has healed up completely nearly now, hasn't it, Mr. Duncan? You
My-
had a poorly lip with a big. You had a big spot on your lip, and it's nearly cleared up.
Good. I'm sure everyone feels better now, knowing that.
Have a website with all job words, says Amory. We could do that. You can. Oh, you went to fetch your coat.
Yes. Have you noticed I've changed my clothing?
I didn't notice. I was concentrating so intently on the live stream.
Nazreen says, the sound of the birds is very beautiful. Shall we just have a moment to listen to the birds singing? Because a lot of people seem to like that.
Sadly, there is a barking dog and an aeroplane going over.
It's all going on.
Barking dogs, aeroplanes, drones.
Everything. And some people say living in the countryside is boring. Let me tell you now. It isn't.
Oh, Jeff says, Jeff, I knew somebody would mention it. There are other words with job in that we can't write them here.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Do you mean...
You mean words that are very much like
we're there.
snow job? There are lots of words with the that have job at the end, but other words come before them.
Well, of course, if you have
Naughty.
some plastic surgery on a part of your body, we often say job. So maybe if you have some surgery on your nose
Yes.
to make it look different, you can say you have a nose job.
That's what Jeff must have been referring to.
I think so. But there are other uses of the word job. That's all I'm saying.
There are something that you might only get at Christmas and birthdays.
Sorry?
I think the viewers know what I'm talking about.
I think all the married men will know what that means.
Birthdays and Christmas if you're lucky.
Okay. Shall we go back to some
That's
of
what
your...
my women friends tell me anyway.
What do your women friends tell you?
I can't go into any further details. They just say that their husbands like certain things, but they don't like to do it, and the only time they are prepared to do it is when it's their husband's birthday.
All I can say is I'm so glad we're not here next week. It will give everyone 2 weeks to forget that this happened, including me.
What do you call that bird, says Lilla, with a deep voice and a longer song? It really stands out.
Oh. I don't know.
Oh.
There are the birds you can hear at the moment. You've got blue tits and also great tits, because they are preparing to breed at the moment. And also there are blackbirds, robins. In
You're
fact,
very good at the bird calls,
Yes.
at recognising them.
I think the one we can hear now is, I think that might be a great tit. That's what I think anyway. I've heard a lot of sayings. Let's just have a look at the live chat very
Go
quickly. The live chat is on the screen. It's very strange using my studio equipment outside. It feels very weird. So I've heard a lot of people saying after the sentence thou. Thou, really? Well, thou is normally used in Old English. We don't use thou unless it's either used in a biblical sense or if you are reading a very old piece of English. So maybe some very old literature.
Thou art so beautiful.
Yes.
It means you, doesn't it?
Yes.
You.
So when we say thou, we mean you.
Thou art so beautiful.
Shakespeare often used thou to mean you.
Yes.
Thou art so brilliant. Something like that anyway, something like that. So do you have some words, Steve, to do with work?
I have words now and phrases connected with idioms connected with the word work.
Okay.
So here's the first one, and you've been doing this, Mr. Duncan.
Have
all
I?
morning.
It feels like it.
All morning preparing for this live stream, you have worked like a beaver. So if you describe somebody as working like a beaver, or if you say yourself that you've worked like a beaver, it means you work very hard and energetically in order to get the task done.
Okay.
So beavers obviously are sort of water creatures, aren't they, that build dams.
Yes.
And if you see beavers building dams, they seem to be working very hard. So for some reason, that's become synonymous with the suggestion that if you work like a beaver, you're working very hard.
So yes.
And we don't get beavers in the UK, do we? Do we get beavers in the UK?
I've never been near a beaver in the UK.
I think Mr. Duncan's being naughty again.
I'm not.
I'm talking about furry animals.
I know Jeff will understand that.
Furry animals with sort of big front teeth. They build dams, don't they? And they cause a lot of problems, I think, in some countries.
They do?
America. But if you work like a beaver, it just means you work very hard, because that's what beavers always seem to be, working very hard. Mr. Duncan has worked like a beaver this morning to get this live stream ready at 2 o'clock.
I started putting this together 3 hours before we started doing the live stream, and I realised just how difficult it is preparing to do a live outside broadcast. There is a lot of work involved.
Yes, somebody, Kim has said, is there a phrase, work like a bee? There is. There is, work like a bee, because the bees, they never stop.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, certain animals are not associated with working hard. So you would never say, I work like a cow today. Because cows are seen as the complete opposite of that. They're seen as very lazy. So if you just say to somebody that you lazy cow,
you can say that you worked like a horse.
You can work like a horse, yes, or eat like a horse.
Or if you are treated badly at work, in your job you are treated badly, you can say that you work like a dog.
Work like a dog, because dogs are seen as being mistreated quite often in many countries, not in this country. So yeah, dogs are put to hard, difficult work that is exploitative and it's seen as unfair. So if you work like a dog, it means that you're probably unfairly treated at work.
I like the way you're still holding the beaver word in your hand. Is there anything else coming there?
No.
Oh, I just wondered why you're still holding it up.
Oh, just because I am. Yes, it's unfair on the cow to say that a cow's lazy. That's just what a cow does. It just eats grass all day.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's working very hard.
There are many.
It appears not to be.
But there are many other animals as well that are lazy, but you never hear them used in expressions. So I think sheep are quite lazy, but you never hear anyone say, what a lazy sheep.
You don't.
Cats. I think cats are quite lazy.
Yes.
But you never hear anyone say, what a lazy cat. So they always say, what a lazy cow.
They do. And yet, it must be very hard work all day chewing at grass.
Yes, and also they give us all that lovely milk. So actually, they're not lazy. Cows work very hard.
Every animal does what it needs to do to survive, and it doesn't have to do any more.
You can also say work like a donkey.
That's true, you can.
Beatrice, thank you very much for that.
Busy as a bee. Yeah, busy as a bee, says Jeff. That is correct. Work like, yeah, there we go. So here's another one. Spanner in the works.
Ooh.
A spanner in the works.
Okay.
So this means it's a deliberate act to, or in America they'll say a wrench in the works.
Okay.
A spanner or a wrench, it's the same thing, but we say spanner in the UK. It's to deliberately sabotage an activity or something, or to inadvertently prevent something from happening. So it could be deliberate or it could be accidental, but normally you would say it's a deliberate act to stop something from happening. We will, for example, we will have to put back the launch of the new computer because a problem with the software has really put a spanner in the works. So you've got something that you want to, some new product you want to produce, you had a launch date, something goes wrong to prevent that from happening. In this case, I've just used the example that there's something wrong with the software, so that's put a spanner in the works. The works being we were going to launch it on that particular day. I didn't, for another example, I didn't want John to become my boss, so I told his manager about his drinking problems. That will really put a spanner in the works.
Yeah. So to disrupt another person's plans.
That's it.
As well.
So the works here is John becoming a boss, getting a promotion.
Yes.
So you put a spanner in the works there.
So you prevent him by doing something else. You stop him by doing something maybe against him or saying something to another person about him. You put a spanner in the works.
And this expression, interestingly enough, I looked up where this expression comes from, and it actually comes from the early 1800s, when people used to, textiles were all done by hand, so anything to do with textiles was all done by hand. And then Industrial Revolution and all these new textile machineries started to come in, which were putting people out of jobs. And so literally the workers used to put spanners in the machinery of these new textile mills to prevent them working. Yes. As a way of sabotaging it so that they would keep their jobs.
Yes. Well, as I understand it, the word sabotage is also related to people who are revolting against their bosses. I think it's a group of people called the Sabos.
Oh, really?
I think so. And I think sabotage actually comes from that actual action of putting something out of order. So maybe you do something to stop something from working or functioning. So that's how the word sabotage came around.
Well, you could use that in place of the phrase "a spanner in the works" to sabotage something. It's the same thing. And apparently, they used to be called these textile workers that were literally putting spanners to prevent these machines working were called Luddites.
Oh, I see.
Luddites.
Yeah. So, and nowadays we tend to use that to refer to people who don't like technology.
Exactly, Mr. Duncan. So
maybe you are a Luddite.
I am a Luddite. So that phrase came from the early 1800s to describe people who are against technology, and that was the first technology that was really ever coming in, because everybody had done everything by hand. Suddenly there were these mills with all these textile machinery in. So yes, if you're described as a Luddite today, it means you don't like computers, software, anything that's modern technology, and I'm a bit of a Luddite.
You know what I find interesting is whatever happens in human evolution, so when we change anything that affects society, there is always a group of people who are pushed out. So certainly when it comes to technology, or even the Industrial Revolution, we talked about that earlier because I was showing the shots of the Iron Bridge that I visited last week. And when the Industrial Revolution came along, some people were pushed aside. So because things were easier to make, then it meant that a lot of people that had a job suddenly didn't have a job. And this is something that always happens. So whenever something comes along that makes life easier, you quite often find that there is a group of people who are often pushed aside.
Yes, because people are always frightened that they're going to lose their job. But generally, the case is there's normally some other jobs appear as a result of that new technology. And if you're flexible enough, you can change what you do. Depends on your age. Somebody's asked me to spell the word Luddite. I think it's Luddite.
Yes, I think somebody's actually put it on the screen.
Oh, have
yeah,
they?
there are 2 Ds.
Yes.
So a person who is against modern technology or new things that come along to make life easier. So nowadays we always think of technology.
Yeah, so somebody who resists change resists technological change.
I think it's fair to say that Mr. Steve is definitely a Luddite.
I am a bit of a Luddite. I didn't used to be, but I am now. Not because I think it's going to take my job away, but because I just don't like it. I can't use it. A piece of work, or a piece of work, because it's got 2 meanings here. So a piece of work can mean an item or a part of something, usually art. I love that piece of work by Damien Hirst. I love that piece of work by Constable.
Oh.
So it's an item of art, really, and it actually comes from Shakespeare. Shakespeare actually first used that phrase.
Huh.
What a piece of work is man? To describe man in a positive way, i.e., aren't we just wonderful things? Man, isn't it a wonderful thing? What a piece of work! You could say, what a wonderful piece of work. But nowadays, that expression is often used as well in a negative way. It's come to be used negatively to mean a really bad person. Somebody who's lacking in morals or scruples.
Ooh.
Or maybe just a strange person. That new boss is a nasty piece of work. He stamps on everybody to get promoted. Somebody who will stop at nothing to get something can be a nasty piece of work, either not a very nice person. I caught my best friend chatting up my wife. He's a nasty piece of work. So no morals, they don't care what they do. But you might describe somebody, it doesn't have to be particularly negative. You could say that somebody's, oh, you're a strange piece of work, aren't you? It doesn't mean they're nasty, it means they might be a bit odd, a bit idiosyncratic. They might be just a little strange, but you can get on with them anyway. But it's usually used negatively and sarcastically. Oh, what a nasty piece of work.
So a nasty piece of work is a person who is unsavoury, maybe they have a bad characteristic, or maybe they are just a bad person altogether.
How much time have we got, Mr. Duncan? Not long.
We have got about 6 minutes.
I've got 2 more.
Good.
All in a day's work. Perhaps I should have saved this one till last.
That's all right.
All in a day's work. It just refers to the normal activities involved in your job, which to you are quite normal, but to other people they might not want to do that or think they want to do it. It might be an unpleasant part of your job, but it's all in a day's work. So you can say, some days I have to work 12-hour shifts. No, it's all in a day's work. So some days you might only work 6 hours, some 12. Sometimes I have to clean the toilets at work. No, it's all in a day's work.
That's it.
So it's part of your job description. Might not particularly like doing it, but you accept it and you just get on with it anyway.
Yes. I suppose it's a little bit like life. You might say that it's all in a day's work, just generally when you have to do things, when you have to look after your house, look after your kids, go to work, earn money. All these things have to be done. It's all in a day's work.
Yes, they're just things you just accept it. How can you teach children all day long? Well, it's all in a day's work. You might not want to do it, but it's their job.
There's so much going on around us today. We've had the birds singing. We've now got someone chopping with it sounds like an electric saw, or a chainsaw. So that's the noise you could hear earlier. And also there's a pigeon sitting just behind us.
Yes, that's Lilia. I think she can hear the pigeon. And it is getting dark. Somebody's pointed out that it's getting darker already.
Yes, the sun is going down.
Last one then, a jack of all trades.
Okay.
Nothing. It's trade. A trade is work, isn't it? It's a type of work. If you just say to somebody, "What's your trade?"
Yes.
You mean what do you do for a job? What is your trade? You might. I'm a carpenter, or I'm an electrician. That's your trade. That's what you do for a job. I'm a salesperson. I'm a teacher. That's your trade. There are other meanings for trade, but we won't go into that one.
Your profession.
Your profession. Jack of all trades. Often after that you would say master of none. It can be used positively or negatively. So if somebody who's okay at doing a lot of things but doesn't excel in anything. So if somebody is good at, or sort of average at doing a lot of things, but they're not brilliant at anything, so they might do a bit of carpentry, they might do a bit of plumbing, they might do a bit of gardening, they might do a bit of everything, but they're just sort of okay at it, but not brilliant at any of them.
So they do many things, but they are only average at all these things.
That's it.
Not outstanding.
Somebody who can do a lot of good jobs, but isn't that good at any of them. But that could be good. That could be good or bad, because sometimes you might want somebody who's a jack of all trades. You might want somebody to come and work at your business who can do a bit of everything. They can do a bit of plumbing, a bit of electrical work. You might want somebody who can do a bit of everything. You might not want somebody who is very good at one thing. But on the other hand, you might say, I don't want somebody. I want somebody who's very good at carpentry to come and fit some doors in my house. Now, he does a lot of things. I don't want somebody who's a jack of all trades. I want somebody who's a really good carpenter.
You want a professional.
You want a professional, somebody who's just good at one job only.
Good.
It comes from the 14th century, when Jack was the name that was used to describe the ordinary person. The ordinary person was Jack, the ordinary person. So that's it. Jack of all trades, somebody who... I'm a bit of a jack of all trades.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm sort of can do a bit of everything.
Yes, you certainly can. You like to put your hand in things.
I hope that was interesting.
Yes, it was okay. A very unusual moment of time today because we're outside. It's now gone quite cold.
It has gone cold. My hands are going cold.
So Mr. Steve is going. Don't forget, next Sunday we are not here.
Not here.
There is no live stream next Sunday. Steve is busy and I'm doing some things in the studio. Some changes are taking place. Also, there are changes taking place on YouTube as well over the next few weeks. So I have to prepare for that. So it's time to go. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
That's what I'm going to do now.
It's time for Mr. Steve to go and make a nice cup of tea. And also, today we are having a hot cross bun.
I think we'll be putting our hands around the cup to warm ourselves up, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, I could do with some hot cross buns, because my buns are very cold at the moment.
Well, Mr. Duncan, I want to say goodbye to everybody for now.
Yep.
And see everybody in 2 weeks' time.
The 10th of March.
10th of March.
Is
that when we're back?
That's when we're back.
With something new.
Yes, very exciting.
Bye-bye.
So Mr. Steve is now going, and we will also go as well. It's almost time to say goodbye. The time has come to say goodbye. And there is the view as we prepare to say goodbye today, as we come up to 4 o'clock. This is Mr. Duncan saying thanks a lot for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. Something a little different today. Thank you very much for your messages as well. Thank you, Julie. Thanks also to Ram and also Valentine. Also to Jimmy, Eric, Indigo. Thank you very much for following us today. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a little bit different. Lots of things happening whilst we were broadcasting live, and that is the beauty of doing a live stream. You never know what is going to happen next. So I will see you later. No live stream next week, but we will be back live on Sunday, the 10th of March. That's when we are back. This is Mr. Duncan outside on a very chilly, although it's also a very sunny day. Even the pigeon is saying goodbye. And of course, you know what's coming next. Until the next time we meet here on YouTube, this is Mr. Duncan in England saying enjoy English, and of course, you know what's coming next. Ta-ta for now.